that's impressed me with him is his ability to catch the ball out of the backfield, which is something that I kind of doubted he would be able to do consistently. For the most part, he's looked good. Now, I will say he did have a drop or two in yesterday's practice, so timing not great on that front. But this is a guy that's impressed me in a lot of areas. Like many young running backs, the big question is going to be, can he pass protect? I haven't watched that area of his game enough. I'll be honest. I go to go back and watch the tape and see him in those situations. But, we'll see him in more of those spots, I would imagine, in the final preseason game.
Jesse, Steve, I think you put it perfectly earlier in the show. In terms of Mendoza, after game one, after game two, reactions didn't get too high, didn't get too low. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better reactions from this rookie.
Yeah, I would agree 100%. And I think that's the way to really analyze his play also. He hasn't done anything where you're like, oh my God, this is insane, or anything where you're like, ugh, this guy's a bust. He's very much so I think been a very straight line, I guess you could say, and that's the way it should be interpreted. So I think with him, you want to see that. It's his personality, where he's not going to get too high, not going to get too low, and is able to respond in those moments, and so as a young guy to see that, to be able to see the response to the interception and kind of deal with that type of stuff has been impressive for me thus far. And again, you just kind of continue to see this kid moving in the right direction. So I'm curious to see what the final preseason game looks like for him in terms of that last response till we probably see him put on the shelf for a bit. And then we probably won't see him again until he starts at some point.
Do you think, just spitfire in here, but as of right now, because of the experience that Aidan O'Connell has had the last couple of years, including being the starter at some point, that it would be even safer to make him QB2 at the start of the season?
You're saying to make Aidan QB2?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've been saying that for a while. For the early portion of camp, I've been thinking it would make a lot of sense to have Aidan be your number 2 and essentially make Fernando your emergency third quarterback. Because I think at any point, if God forbid Kirk were to go down with an injury in game, as much as this staff has talked about wanting to protect Fernando and, make it as easy on him as possible and all those different things, well, how do you do that? Not by throwing a kid in there when he hasn't been able to take reps with the ones and all that stuff and have a full week to prepare. So I think if for whatever reason Kirk was unavailable in game, I do think your best bet is to throw Aidan O'Connell out there. He's been there, done that in that situation before. And then if and when it's a long-term thing or multi-week thing where you're ready to make the move to Fernando, then you give him an entire week to work with the ones, an entire week to prepare as the actual guy. Because as much as everybody loves to say, I treat my preparation the same, every day is the same, I'm the starter, it's different when you're actually going to be the guy. So, yeah, I would definitely, I think, as long as he's still on the team, I would lean toward having Aidan be the number 2 guy. But in reality, Fernando is the 2. It's just a number and structure of who would go in there if Kirk's unavailable.
Jesse Merrick at Jesse SBSN. It's Silver and Black Sports Network podcast, and then daily emails are sent out, newsletters, also content on several different platforms. Okay, Sunday practice, Genty goes down. What did it look like? What was the mood? And what's your best information say about the injury?
Yeah. I'll be honest. It looked bad from our vantage point. I know everyone, I've seen some people oh, the media overreacted and all this stuff because you're hearing reports from Schefter and the national outlets that it's an ankle sprain. Now, we obviously don't know the severity of that, and there's varying degrees of an ankle sprain. A high ankle sprain, you've seen some guys suffer those injuries, and it's a really painful injury. Yeah. And it can last a while. I've had a high ankle sprain, and it sucked, and it kept me out for a pretty decent amount of time. And I'm not an NFL athlete, so obviously it's different, but it's not a fun injury, especially for a running back. And so from my vantage point from afar, essentially, we were in the indoor facility. All of us were in the back corner of the end zone, and the offense was driving on the 40 or the opposite 50. So they were pretty far away from us. Hard to get a really good look at it, but it looked like he was going out for a pass. The pass was a bit low. From my vantage point, I think he and Darren Porter collided. There's other, but he did with the ground, whatever. He was laying on the ground for a bit. He got up, was helped off by the trainers, put no weight on that right leg. And the thing that was crazy for me was the team's reaction. They cut off all the music at practice. Everybody took a knee and seemed to say a team prayer. To me, that reaction told you all you needed to know about the severity of it. But then you hear the news that they may have dodged a bullet, and that's a major win for the Raiders. So we'll get word tomorrow from Clint Kubiak because he's going to be at the podium. So we won't have to rely on Rob Leonard talking about it. So I'm curious to see what Clint has to say, but it is important to note that he's under no obligation to disclose injuries at this point. So I'm very, very curious to see how he handles the discussion around this one.
What should or would the Raiders do to cushion the blow? We don't know how long Genty could be out, if he's out for any significant period of time. But what does a running back room look like right now? And I know they've brought guys in. They looked at Najee Harris and then he signed with the Giants. But what does a room look like and what should they do?
Yeah. So it's interesting right now. They've got Mike Washington Jr., who has been working as their number 2 running back. He was their 4th-round pick out of Arkansas. So far in the preseason, he's got 15 carries for 119 yards, and he's averaged 7.9 yards per carry, which is pretty dang good. Now, again, I mentioned he's had a couple of chunk plays. That's runs of 33 and 53 yards, so that's helped boost it. But that essentially tells you the story about what he is. He is kind of that boom or bust type of running back. If you give him a lane, he can take off, and he's been able to do that. Now, behind him, you have Dylan Lobley, who has a whopping 8 carries for 9 yards, and his first ever carry went for a fumble. Now, this is a guy that I think people like more as a receiver, and I think he could be kind of like that change of pace as a receiver out of the backfield. We've seen him in 2-minute situations over the years, but that's kind of where things stand right now. They also have Dario Gumbawale, who's a vet, came over from the Texans. He has experience in a Kubiak-style scheme. Again, though, probably not a guy that you want to rely on heavily. And then behind all of them, you have Roman Hemby, who's an undrafted rookie free agent out of Indiana. A lot of the fans love him. We just haven't seen him a ton. And I get the sense that the team wants to stash him on the practice squad. So, again, probably not going to rely on him too much. In terms of what they should do, honestly, I would lean on Mike Washington Jr., see what the kid can do if, for whatever reason, Ashton does indeed end up being out for an extended period of time or the regular season. Again, we don't know that just yet. But the kid's shown enough to where I think you can lean on him. But I would imagine, too, today, after waiving Noah Brown, a veteran receiver they brought in, they have 2 active rosters. They have 2 spots open on the roster. I think we're going to see them add another running back. Or if they don't, that tells you the outlook for Genty as well. So kind of keep an eye on that. But I would lean on Mike Washington Jr., give the kid a shot, and let him show you what he can do as the lead guy if, for whatever reason, Ashton does end up missing time.
45 seconds left. The kicking situation is very interesting. I don't know that we know Tokyo Toe has not lit anyone up. And Matt Gay's been okay. Old reliable, if you wanted to go back to the X, well, he's gone now as Carlson signed with the Saints.
Yeah, a lot of fans are bummed about that. They were hoping that Carlson would be an option, but then the Saints go and take that. And then I believe, too, Keyshawn Boutte, just in terms of missed out on that. He was just traded today as well. So that's something that Raiders fans were hoping maybe a move would be made there. In terms of kicking, I think they're going with Matt Gay. He's got familiarity with their special teams coordinator, and he's been consistent enough in practice. Obviously, consistency hasn't necessarily been his calling card the last couple of years in the league, but they feel comfortable with him. And again, to your point, Tokyo Toe hasn't been consistent. That's kind of what he was known for in college. It hasn't been there. I'd imagine he's even now a stretch to make it as the IPP pathway where he's kind of stashed away and they work on him for a year just because he has been so inconsistent, which is a bummer because he was an awesome story, Yeah.
20 seconds left. Tell people what's coming up this week at Silver and Black Sports Network.
Yeah. So we're gonna, when the preseason game wraps up on Thursday, I'll be doing a show potentially with Ryan Hogue. We're trying to see if he's going to be able to watch it. He's in the process of traveling back and forth, but breaking down the game, hitting you guys with some possible guys that could or could not make the team, breaking down what we saw from Fernando, all of that stuff. It's going to be really interesting. And obviously tomorrow we'll be keeping tabs on seeing what the deal is with Ashton Genty and explaining more about what his outlook looks like once we get word on his injury. And again, talking more about that running back situation for them going forward.
We'll check it out. Jesse, thank you. We'll talk to you, buddy.
Yes, sir. Take it easy, guys.
Jesse Merrick, former college football player and local TV star, now doing his own thing with Silver and Black Sports Network. On the way back, some more updates about that Bills' fabulous new stadium and more on Ashton Genty and the running back room.
$30 million in guaranteed prizes. Cash in this football season with 3 Circa Sports contests. Circa Survivor, Circa Million, and Circa Grandissimo. Entry starting at $1,000 all week. Enter in Las Vegas. Play from anywhere. Visit circasports.com for details.
Gas costs more. Groceries cost more. Insurance costs more. So when's the last time something actually got cheaper? Well, for a limited time, Meineke is offering a synthetic blend oil change for just $20.45. One of the best deals you'll find anywhere. Performed by trained, certified technicians and backed by a 12-month, 12,000-mile warranty. But don't wait. Schedule today at Meineke.com. Meineke, doing car care right.
Turn up the savings this summer at Lexus of Henderson. Experience the all-electric Lexus RZ with instant performance, premium luxury, and advanced Lexus Safety System Plus. Then take advantage of Lexus certified pre-owned financing with rates as low as 1.99% APR. Or enjoy the fine comfort, elegant craftsmanship, and smooth ride of the Lexus ES. Available now with financing as low as 5.4% APR. Visit Lexus of Henderson at the Valley Auto Mall or online at lexusofhenderson.com.
OAC restrictions apply. See store for details. Offer expires 8/31/26.
Get ready to raid PT's Tavern starting this Wednesday at PT's Gold at 903 East Lakemead Parkway in Henderson. Join us and enjoy $3 Blue Moon and Coors Light pints, $4 Modelo pints, and $20 Topo Chico buckets. You could win free tickets to game at Allegiant Stadium along with a $100 Allegiant bar credit, a $100 Uber credit, and team gear to wear throughout the game. Your home for football is at PT's Gold, PT's Place, Great American Pub, Lucky's, and Sierra Gold.
Plumbers, HVAC techs, contractors, and DIYers. McFadden Industrial Hardware has the tools, parts, and supplies to power your next project. Open early and stocked with everything you need. Stop by South Decatur near Russell. McFadden Industrial Hardware. Fast, easy, and built for the pros.
The biggest games and the best matchups are heard here on ESPN Las Vegas, 1100 AM and 100.9 FM, KWWN Las Vegas. Live from the Findlay Toyota studio, you're listening to ESPN Las Vegas.
All right, rolling on here. Cofield and Company, Steve Cofield, Willie Ramirez, ESPN Las Vegas. James is here running the show. Lots to get to. WNBA coming up, Aces results, and also how the playoff race looks. That's coming up in 5 minutes. Obviously, headline story here in Vegas. What exactly happened to Ashton Jeanty? How bad is the ankle turn? Jesse Merrick was just on with us and said, we still haven't gotten real, good information on this. Some saying it's not that serious. We will see. And I think we'll find out this week if they're going to need some replenishment. If they bring in some other running backs, it's sad to say, but running backs are so distant now that there's usually a healthy dose of veteran running backs who have kind of been thrown on the scrap heap, and then they make their way back into the NFL throughout the season. But there's plenty of dudes left out there. Najee Harris was brought in at the beginning of camp by the Raiders, and last week the Giants finally inked him. So I guess we'll know if Jeanty's going to be down for a while if they go out and get a veteran running back. Because right now, beyond Jeanty, the running back room is really, 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 really young and really inexperienced.
And Anthony Thomas texted in, Nick Chubb just announced his retirement. Do the Raiders give him a call? You giving him a call, Steve? You're the GM?
Probably not. I don't have other names I would call in front of him. Look it up. Get the free agent list, but I'm probably someone out there who have versatility and a better chance of staying.
For a reason.
Sucky story. He was awesome.
Yeah.
And then you just, and that is again, like I don't like saying it, but the old running backs are thrown on the scrap heap. People don't want to pay them, and then you got guys like Nick Chubb who they grind into the freaking ground for 3 years. And then when he does get injured, it's like, sorry, see ya. Yeah. And that's why when players hold out, they have a chance to get guaranteed money. Like I always back them, especially running backs.
Yeah,
you could have, in most cases, you can have a 3, 4, 5 year career. You may get to 9 or 10 years. You may have a miracle situation like Frank Gore and play until you're 100. But most of these guys are one serious injury away from being a top 20 running back in the NFL to 2 years later, they're out. I mean, you know what? This came up the other day on my Facebook memories. It was Candy and I, and it was a video, and we were talking about cats. And why were we talking about my cats? Because Todd Gurley had just gotten a cat. That was 7 years ago. Todd Gurley's been done in the NFL now for like 4 years. He's not old. And Todd Gurley was like, pew, to the moon how good he was at the beginning of his career. But, they run you into the ground. You have knee injuries, and you're done.
Well, as price tags went up and values in the front office eyes went down, meaning as GMs started taking a look at the market and they put less value on the running backs, but running backs and their agents, I mean, it was, I don't want to say it was him specifically, but it was in that time frame when they started looking down on running backs. Hey, we're not going to was when the Raiders had to make a decision on Josh Jacobs, if you remember, picking up that 5th-year option on that, wasn't it the 4th year, 5th year? He was going into the final year of his rookie contract, and they decided, and he said, well, I'm just going to gamble on myself. He was coming off being the leading rusher in the NFL. Of course, we know what happened from there. Question is whether he's going to be ready for the start of this season, but now he's in Green Bay. But I mean, that was in that time frame where this conversation began in terms of, is the price of a running back now too high?
Aces this weekend get a win against Toronto, but they do suffer an injury in the game. So A'ja Wilson, another big game, but now what?
Oh, man. Talk about injuries in Las Vegas. NaLyssa Smith goes down. From my understanding, again, this is just off of blurbs, reports. Somebody said they heard a pop. It didn't look good. I know Jackie Young was the first one over to her. Of course, they shield her with the towels. She needed help off the court. I haven't heard a thing, Steve, and we're all waiting for the email. It may have come because I don't have that particular email address up right now from the team, but it's very coincidental this morning after this happens, though, that DeWanna Bonner in Phoenix accepts or I don't know whether she demanded it or Phoenix, if there was discussions, but all of a sudden, the person who bolted Indiana for Phoenix is bolting Phoenix for somewhere, but she's accepted a buyout. She has to clear waivers, and then she can sign somewhere with a playoff contending team. Oh, by the way, the Aces may need a big.
Would you bring her in? Is she good in the locker room?
Yes, absolutely. In this town, same way I said about Kennedy. Kennedy blew it, not the Aces. But DeWanna Bonner's, she's never really been toxic. And she's got championship experience, not as far as a ring, but she's been on teams that have been to the finals or been deep in the playoffs. She was with the Connecticut team that the Aces beat. So, she knows everybody. She's a veteran. She could get along and come in and easily get along with A'ja Wilson, Cheyenne, Parker Titus, and the rest, Chelsea Gray. I mean, she would get along with them all. She knows them. She's married to Alyssa Thomas, who's been on the Olympic team with them. So it's not as if she doesn't know them. She's been to All-Star Weekend. She's been in the league. I think she would fit in great. The problem is the place that I think she fits in best is probably Atlanta, which would make them dangerous even more than they already are. But I think the necessity, it's so coincidental, Steve, that you have to go, okay, did Nikki get on the phone, start crafting it? If NaLyssa is out for the season, how does that work with the salary cap? They make room, and all of a sudden they bring DeWanna Bonner in. I don't want to say it's a perfect fit because I don't think at her age she's replacing NaLyssa Smith, but it's a damn good viable option this late in the season.
By the way, when I'm glad you brought up Kennedy Carter. When she got cut, we told you on this show, at least I did, that was it. And we got pushback from people who were like, oh, the Aces screwed her over. She can score. She's going to sign with someone. Where is she?
China?
July 7th, she was signed. I'm sorry. July 7th, she was waived.
Yeah. Not in the WNBA.
She's out of the league.
Yeah.
And maybe she'll get another chance, but they know what happened. The rest of the league knows what happened. I think the Aces, for HR purposes, could not speak about it. Remember how Becky quickly was like, I'm not answering questions about it? Or no, a PR person stepped in, right? To stop any more questions. So something happened.
We're going to talk about
something happened.
We're
and it wasn't
the game. That's what
something happened. Yeah. And but now the rest of the league knows.
I've not done this.
She's not being touched.
I've not done this since All-Star Weekend, and I'm not about to do it and bring it up. But I will say this: whatever took place with Kennedy Carter, whatever took place last year with all the stuff that was brought out in a very wrong way. Not saying I'm not making excuses for one person, because I'm not about to get into all that. But the way that it was brought up during All-Star Weekend, during that podcast that everybody's become familiar with, I can tell you this much: win or lose the title, there's going to be a lot of discussion during the offseason. I can tell you that much, that Nikki Fargas and Becky Hammond are not going to stand for in the 2027 season. There's all this stuff when it comes to whatever took place with Kennedy Carter, whatever took place with certain players. If the accusations are correct in terms of interpersonal
Melissa
relations.
Smith and Dejanay Carrington and pictures and
You can say,
rumors
I'm just
and all
not going
that.
to rehash it. I'm just talking about whatever the case is,
Yeah.
because if they don't win it, you can best believe that they're going to point to that and say, hey, this isn't the cause of it. Doesn't bring on the court that y'all didn't play correctly.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, we don't need these distractions. We don't need this type of toxicity.
Well, they have an organization that, while you may think, hey, we can blend people in and we'll fix it, and the championship attitude here is going to get people straightened out, why bother?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Why take reclamation projects and people who have issues just because you can get them for cheap? I'm not saying the season's ruined. It's just, they haven't been as good as in a regular season as probably should by like 4 games. It's not like they should be, they should finish 33-11. I mean, they're gonna still have a good record here, finish with like 29 wins.
Well, what's funny is last year they were 14-14, then they reeled off that 16-game win streak. This year they've actually been consistent. They've just lost some shocking games that they've lost, and they've been trounced at home a couple times. But in reality, if you look at the records overall, there's no reason why they can't make a run. The key will be what happens with Nalissa and if they bring somebody in.
Did you see the 2 newest people to the Caitlin Clark grift?
Now what?
Well, I think there are people out there who realize if you talk Caitlin Clark good or bad, but especially good if you back her, it's a way to get instant hits or at least get your social media going in the right direction. So one is our buddy Doug Kazarian. I've noticed Doug is like 95%. It seems like it. He's not 95%, but heavy WNBA. The other one is Elko, Linda Cohn, fresh off of leaving ESPN. Now I see something about Caitlin Clark and her podcast she does. It's about it seems to always be about Caitlin Clark. And last week I actually retweeted something. Why I do this, I have no idea. But I retweeted something she had said because she was griping about Caitlin Clark being a long shot for the MVP, saying that, well, Olivia Miles is going to win Rookie of the Year. Why does she have to be MVP? And it's like, Elko, first of all, as of last week, A'ja Wilson was minus 1,300 to win the MVP. I think it was 1,300. I might be a little high on that. But anyway, Olivia Miles was like 6-1, and Caitlin Clark was like 14-1 or 11-1. And the other reason on the Fever, she's going to split votes.
She's not the best player on the team.
And that's what I said to her. I go, there's an argument to be made that she's not even the MVP on her team. I think she is. You can argue the other way. The way she's playing right now,
out of this world.
And in a lot of ways, unless you're part of the grift, it's getting covered up because guess what happened in that Enes Kanter, Natasha Cloud game, right? What was the other story going on?
What, the clip that we saw Caitlin Clark smiling? Is that what you're talking about?
Just her performance in general.
Oh, yeah. No, that completely got overshadowed that she scored 37 points, and that's what we should be talking about.
Well, and also Dejanay Carrington talking trash and then having
of course,
threes
but
right
that's
in their face.
Dejanay.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, come on. Like I said, Dejanay's Dejanay, and they're always going to point to if let me tell you something. If she's done that 4 times since the previous game when she mugged Sophie Cunningham,
right.
It's Dejanay Carrington. We're just going to talk about it and complain about her when it's against the Fever and the darling of the league. Now, that being said, the one difference I will say right now between this run, this incredible, because right now the most dangerous backcourt in the league is Kelsey Mitchell and Caitlin Clark, hands down. But if I'm the coach, I want the ball in Kelsey Mitchell's hands for the last shot, not Caitlin Clark. I will say that. And I'm not just saying that just to raise bait, get clicks, clickbait, raise the ire of anybody. Right now, Kelsey Mitchell, but the entire season, the consistency's been with Kelsey Mitchell. I just actually wrote a story for Ball is Life that the MVP race at this point is down to 2 people, and it's A'ja Wilson and Olivia Miles. It's going to take an incredible collapse by A'ja Wilson to be overtaken by Olivia Miles. Olivia Miles would be the second person in league history in 30 years to win the Rookie of the Year and the MVP. The only other person to do it is Candace Parker.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. Be good company.
How big a gap would the Lynx have to finish with over the Aces for you to consider Olivia Miles? I mean, is it best player in the league or is it MVP? Like, how do you look at the MVP? Is it most valuable player or is it best player in the league? Because the best player in the league, we have her here.
Yeah, I know. I think it's most valuable player to your team. And the thing is you could argue Kayla McBride's having a career year. She's a 13, 14-year veteran. She's having one of the best seasons of her entire career. So she's been fantastic. Natasha Howard has stepped up. She stepped up in Nafisa Collier's absence. So that's a well-rounded team that Olivia Miles just blended in and didn't look like a rookie right off the bat. So there's a difference. It's not as if the Lynx did what they did just because of Olivia. She just happened to be perfectly fit for that. You have stated, hey, this is why she should have been number one. And last week when we talked about AZ Fudd going down, well, there you have it. She wouldn't have been – she'd be just as good. The role would have been different, so we wouldn't have seen the Olivia Miles we're seeing right now.
Updated MVP odds from William Hill. Asia Wilson minus 1,000. Olivia Miles 7-1. I had Caitlin Clark way too high or low, I guess. 25-1. Kelsey Mitchell 25-1. Paige Becker's 100-1. So it's pretty much
Paige has dropped.
Yeah, well, it's pretty clear. It's a two-person race, and frankly, when you're minus 1,000, it's a one-person race. So UNLV's playing on Saturday, week 0 game, 5 days until kickoff. They do have some roster questions. We reported on some of these super seniors, the 5 and 5 guys coming back, but Mullen talked about it today when he was asked about their official availability.
I mean, we got a bunch of that. I know we're waiting on a court hearing on Cohen. We have a couple guys that we're waiting on waivers to be approved. We've had the same waiver. The one thing that's really frustrating for us is you have two kids in the exact same scenario. One's eligible, good to go. One, we're waiting to see. I thought the NCAA was about helping kids, right? And there's a lot of I know a lot of the attention gets there's a lot of kids that they could help right now. And attention gets to this guy's leaving the NFL to come play in college. I don't know that that's right, but. You know what? You're going off the rules, but there's a lot of rules that have already been in cases that have been, hey, this has already been set as a precedent. And yet that rule is okay for this one guy, but the exact same kid in the exact same scenario is still waiting to hear. So Cohen, hopefully we'll hear and get his case resolved soon. We have a couple other players we're waiting on their waivers that are coming. We've had 2 kids with identical waivers already been cleared. We have 2 other kids with the identical deal we're still waiting on. So hopefully the NCAA can get their act together and get this organized.
So I played that for a reason. 1, it's news. 2, when I heard it, I was like, wait, did I hear that correctly? That actually is breaking news because I was under the impression that Cohen Fuller, the defensive tackle, was all clear and ready to go. The other 2 guys, Terrence Welch and Spellman, are 5 and 5s. Fuller had filed a long time ago, and it was a fight with the NCAA, and he was part of a court case. The reason the breaking news with Fuller is significant because Donovan Spellman, frankly, he's an edge rusher, super senior, played 239 plays a year ago. He's significant, but they have enough depth at edge that he slots in somewhere as like the 4th to 7th edge. LaTerrence Welch is going to be needed, but it's not vital for this game. Cohen Fuller is going to be a starting defensive tackle on the line, and do they like the guys behind him? Because it's Lucas Conte and Cohen Fuller. That was what was expected. And Mullen just said, we don't know. I was like, okay, I thought we knew. Behind him are Ilya Logo, who's a redshirt freshman, Poe Purcell, who's a true freshman, the Moes, as they call them, Abishur and Altayeb, who are both big body dudes, 290 to 310. But taking Fuller out, who Mullen pitched to Phil Steele as an all-conference guy at defensive tackle, that's kind of a big deal. I know this is very deep divey for this audience, but if he can't play, that is a significant absence on Saturday against a Memphis team who we don't know how good they're going to be on offense. I know this. They're going to go really fast. They have a lot of new faces. They've got 71 transfers and new players into the program. And here's Mullen talking about, hey, scouting them, we kind of know on the surface what they have, but it's a bit of a mystery.
But, I mean, this year's team, you're looking at a lot of the guys came from Southern Miss. They have a lot of big faces coming from all over the place. Those guys had a pretty good year last year at Southern Miss. So I think that's part of it is, they're going to be fired up. Our guys were excited to play game 1, kind of a whole new program, whole new everything last year. They're going to bring a lot of juice, a lot of energy, and they know it's a big game.
guess how important is it for you guys to say that?
Well, it's huge, and I think so much of game one's about yourself. There's no film on the team we're playing. I can't watch one play of this.
So he doesn't have a whole lot. That's it. I think they have enough. They certainly have enough on the quarterbacks. I think Marcus Stokes is going to be the guy who's going to play the majority of the snaps. Aaron Nolan is the guy who was at Ohio State and South Carolina. Marcus Stokes is the guy who was committed to Florida but had a transgression away from the field and wound up going to West Florida. I was told last week, we played the interview with John Martin. Martin said that NIL for Stokes was approaching 7 figures. I think I might be a little bit high, but that's the guy they paid the most to. So he's been more than competitive in camp from what I hear. So that's going to be their quarterback, I think, Marcus Stokes. But, the encouraging thing on the Memphis side is, yes, they have 71 new players, but they did bring 17 from Southern Miss. And we've seen this happen at other places. I'm not saying they're going to be Indiana, right? But Indiana benefited the first couple of years with Cignetti because he had a bunch of James Madison guys that he brought with him. They also hired the OC from Old Dominion. That coach brought several ODU players. Now, here's a question for Memphis. It's your first game together. So, I'm talking about positives on a season-long haul. Can you pull all of that together in the first game?
In your scouting for this, because you obviously, aside from being out there covering for here, but also reporting, right, or sideline on the broadcast team, from what I'm trying to read, what I've been reading as best as possible to keep up with the other side, the opponent, is that this is going to be a fast team. It's going to be the Memphis is going to they're going to come in, they're going to move, and it's going to be. You want to be better be on its toes. My question to you is, when you have a team like that, like you're saying, under new leadership, right, with Charles Huff, is it better to find the chemistry quicker with a team like that, or a team that's going to play a knuckle dragging physical? Because I think the up-tempo style is better suited for new teams, new players coming together than that slow grinded out.
It's a freaking great question. Why don't we ask the real football expert, Caleb Herring, who's on the way? That is a great question. What's better, if you try to grind it out or goes fast with a new group?
Got something to say? Hit us up on the Bay Law text line. 702-364-1100. Brought to you by Bay Law Injury Attorneys. Winning is no accident.
Traffic is brought to you by Port of Subs. Stop in today or order at portofsubs.com or on the app.
Accident, Decatur Boulevard, that's showing at Cactus. Still working on 1 Charleston Boulevard westbound approaching Campbell, and showing police activity still going on. I-11 northbound off-ramp to the southbound 15.
Traffic is brought to you by Port of Subs. Stop in today or order at portofsubs.com or on the app.
Ever catch yourself eyeing someone else's lunch? Hold back? Why? Try the limited-time chicken cordon bleu at Port of Subs before it's gone.
Slice fresh sandwiches, Port of Subs.
Sometimes life throws you a curveball, and you'll need the assistance of an outstanding criminal attorney like our winning team at the Vegas Lawyers. I'm Tony Abatangelo. Whether it's representation for a DUI, domestic violence, record sealing, or any other criminal defense issue, we will walk you through all the legal complexities. Don't get left on base. Call the Vegas Lawyers.
The Vegas Lawyers, a division of Paul Padalaw. Don't go it alone. Go to thevegaslawyers.com.
$30 million in guaranteed prizes. Cash in this football season in Las Vegas with 3 Circa Sports contests. Entry starting at $1,000, all with no rate. Circa Million, 18 weeks of point spread action. Circa Survivor, pick one winner each week, no point spread. And the Big Daddy, Circa Grandissimo, with a $100,000 entry fee. Enter in Nevada, play from anywhere. $30 million guaranteed. Visit circasports.com for details.
Hey, Rebel fans, you're Coach Dan Mullen, and I'm excited to introduce the new Coach Mullen's menu exclusively at Whiskey Stadium. These handcrafted menu items were inspired by some of my favorite dishes, and they're hearty enough to feed the entire roster. Are you craving amazing food that will actually fill you up? Then come try my new menu items any day of the week at Whiskey Stadium on the corner of Russell and Polaris. Be sure to bring your appetite. Visit whiskeystadium.com for details. Go Rebels.
Good morning.
Vegas is built on service.
Studio lights on, please.
3 shifts a day.
All right, let's do this.
As your morning begins,
It's showtime.
Stand by.
We have a lot to talk about live on the program for the next 3 hours.
To do our part, News 3 Today delivers Las Vegas stories that shape your community.
Just in some breaking news on the economic front.
So, whether it's late breaking,
Breaking news.
bumper to bumper,
Avoid using flamingo.
or clearing skies,
No showers anticipated.
it's News 3 Today.
A synthetic blend oil change for just $24.95? Seriously, in today's market, that's one of the best automotive values you'll find anywhere. But this isn't just an oil change. Your vehicle is serviced by trained service technicians, and every visit includes a free digital inspection, and every service is backed by a 12-month, 12,000-mile warranty. But don't wait. At $24.95, this offer won't last forever. Schedule today at Meineke.com. Meineke, doing car care right.
Looking for a new career but worried about the cost? Check out Truck U CDL training. If you're unemployed or underemployed, there are grant opportunities available that can cover up to 100% of your CDL tuition. Truck U will help explain your options and guide you through the process. They also offer flexible finance programs to fit your budget. So get on the road to a better future today. Call 702-533-3565. That's 702-533-3565.
Hello?
This is Evil Bill from Big Bank. You owe the bank money and I'm going to collect. I'll call your house 1,000 times a day and even threaten to sue you. I'll invade your personal space by yelling at you over the radio. I'll call your family and friends to embarrass you to try and find out where you are. I'll even tell you that I'm coming to your house or office to have you arrested. None of this is legal, but I'll say and do whatever I can to make you pay. What? Oh no, it's the Panda again.
Call Panda Law 702-818-3888.
Fed up with harassing collector calls? We can make them stop. If you have debt, collectors aren't allowed to harass you. Call Peters & Associates today to learn your options to get out of debt and make the calls stop.
Call Panda Law 702-818-3888.
This sports update is brought to you by the William Hill Pro Pick'em Football Contest with $1.2 million up for grabs. Get your picks locked in before September 13th. Find a location near you at williamhill.us.
Raiders defensive coordinator Rob Leonard on improving consistency.
Ball production. It's been there up at the top. You know, there's other things to fix as you go along the way, but there's a progression to it. You can't walk into a meeting and, gotta get better third down, stop the run, do this, you just chip away at one thing at a time.
What did they just say?
You don't have to yell at us. Nobody is on the other side of this issue.
Hit us up on the Bay Law text line, 702-364-1100. Bay Law Injury Attorneys. Winning is not an accident. It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas.
All right, rolling on a Monday. Cofield and Company, Steve and Willie here at ESPN Las Vegas. James is here as well. Caleb Herring joins us at this time every single week. Lots to get into. It's finally here, week 0 of the college football season. So just 5 days away from the game at the Owl, 7 p kick, 6 o'clock with the Ted Weens pregame show with Caleb Herring and Matt Neverett. Caleb, fired up?
I am fired up, Steve. The fight song hits different on game week, right? Like I feel the juice is flowing here. I'm excited to get some Rebel football back in my life. Legion Stadium should be rocking for week 0 opener. I think nationally it's going to get a lot of attention. So I'm excited for what's in store this Saturday.
How significant is the TV spot since it's on Big Fox?
I think it's huge. I think there's already some interest with these 2 names for Group of 5 teams. You think obviously Memphis has been on a climb to relevance and trying to crack the code and to playing with the big dog. UNLV obviously in recent years has enjoyed some success. So they've kind of had parallel tracks in this time of the playoffs and the expansion of the playoffs. And of course, through conference realignment, both of these teams were among the teams mentioned to be taking a step up into the power conference. So I think there is some national interest just to see those names. Then the fact that it's a week 0 game and everybody's just anxious to get some sort of good college football action. I think this is the matchup that you look at to be that matchup, that anticipated matchup that says, hey, this is how I want to start the college football season off with a barn burner in Vegas. Let's see if they can put a show on.
Being that it's the 4th year of this resurrection project, if you will, Is UNLV now considered going into it? Not by us, not by you, not by Steve. Do you feel on the national landscape now where 4 years ago we'd be talking about Boise State, San Diego State in that same conversation? Is UNLV naturally in the conversation now?
I think for a lot of reasons nationally, I would say yes. I think there's a lot of reasons to say it just makes sense for UNLV to be the presumed top dog in the conference, or to be the presumed G5 maybe, or Mountain West at least champion. That presumption is fair from a national landscape. I think internally, though, I would say the difference in this season compared to that kind of national afterthought, it's Boise's conference. That was kind of what Boise was. I think internally, though, UNLV is in a position where the anticipation of the fan base and those that have been with UNLV for the long haul, I think maybe has a little bit more pressure to it than that national narrative. Because I think that national narrative is still kind of out of touch, as it is with every team. There's no way the national narrative can be intimately knowledgeable about the program. But UNLV fans and those who've been following this program, this is kind of a prove-it year, and you're anticipated to be great. But this is, I think, realistically the first time that the expectations coming into a season were this high. And with that comes a lot of pressure to perform. And we'll see if UNLV is up to the task in 2026.
Yeah, they are the pick, and I'd say at least 40 or 50% of the, I'll say, national experts. A lot of those are content creators, but they're the pick to be the rep out of the group of 6 for the CFP. I mean, those are lofty expectations. But here's the thing. They don't have a quarterback. They've got 2. I think they have a quarterback. I think I know who's going to play most of the plays. But in terms of the battle, because maybe neither kid has been told that he's got the job. I don't think Mullen is going to tell them until pretty close to the game. Can that be a negative? Is it a positive right now this close to the season?
I think there's positives you can definitely draw from it if you know what you're doing. And I mean, look no further than last season, right? Mullen really had the same sort of mentality about naming a starter, and the Rebels had probably their best season to date. So I think there is definitely a benefit, and Dan Mullen has proven that he kind of knows what he's doing with this situation. Ideally, yes, you'd like to have a guy just be the number one guy. I think every coach would love that, to have a guy that just dominates and it's clear cut the number one. But if you got 2 guys that you think can run your offense, maybe even 2 guys that run your offense in different ways, I think you want to keep that hope alive as long as possible. I think there's also a benefit to extending the competition to a game week, where you can see how a quarterback prepares on a week-to-week basis and with specific game plans for a new defense. And play calling and scripting for an opponent, as opposed to install your own offense and that kind of knowledge. I think there is value to getting that assessment as well before you make a decision. But I do also think, his third point there, I think that Dan Mullen is being as honest as he can be while not naming a starter and saying that he plans to have both quarterbacks play. I think his system and his understanding of his system and the offensive side of the game, I think allows him to plug and play to a certain degree with every position, including quarterback. And that maybe has shaped his view on who the starter. Made points to that during his presser, like, hey, if Jet Thomas isn't out there for the first snap, are you going to make a big deal about that? No, because you can plug and play based on the package that's out there, the personnel grouping, what advantage you have or disadvantages you may be going up against with your opponent. So I think he has that level of understanding where even the quarterback could be plugged and played if everybody's on board with that kind of scheme. I don't know necessarily it's a true 2-quarterback system, but he wants to keep that option available as long as possible, at least in the eyes of the public and maybe even in the eyes of his quarterbacks in the room.
Caleb Herring with us, the former UNLV quarterback, one of the he's not one of, he is the analyst on the radio broadcast. He is one of the co-hosts of the Dan Mullen Radio Show, which rolls out this Thursday. It'll be on 4 to 5 in the middle of Cofield and Company, live at Sierra Gold, 215 and Jones. I thought a bit of breaking news today was I was under the impression that Cohen Fuller, the defensive tackle, was good to go for the opener. He had been cleared by the NCAA, but Mullen laid it out there that the 3 guys, Welch and Fuller and Spellman, are all still up in the air. I think if Fuller were out, that's a very significant absence. I believe they have players who can step up in that spot, but that would put a lot more responsibility on some young guys on the defensive line.
Yeah, I think the defensive line was already an area that we thought in the offseason needed to be addressed, and they addressed it in the form of returners, or at least the hope of guys that would be coming back, and not necessarily going out and grabbing too many big names or anything like that. They kind of just tried to bank on the fact that some of the guys will be back. And as you mentioned, I think Josh Passion on the basketball side has even talked about this and the kind of confusion with the NCAA and the rulings across the nation, which states are doing what and which court rulings affect your player versus those that don't when you thought maybe they should. That's a confusing landscape. And I'm not a legal expert by any means, but I could just imagine the kind of turmoil that causes. You put your chips into the basket, right? And you think that Fuller's going to be available. Maybe give him some reps in fall camp instead of developing a younger guy. And then it all of a sudden backfires in game week that he's not available. That's a very realistic possibility, not just for UNLV, but across college football and college sports in general with the new rules that are rolling out. So we'll see. I think UNLV is kind of prepared as if they're going to be available and are banking on that. And hopefully they are. I'd hate to see a court ruling be the thing that breaks UNLV's back down the stretch or in this game, a big spot in week 0, but we'll see how things shake out.
Yeah, at practice, they've been heavily rotating at defensive tackle. So while Fuller got back in the mix about 2 weeks ago, Logo and Purcell and the Moes have all been rotating in next to and on their own next to Lucas Conte and on their own. So I don't think they'll be ill-prepared for that. It's just that, he's probably going to play a good 30 snaps or more. So now other guys have to step up. We were talking about the Memphis side and the fact that it looks like they want to go fast. That's what the ODU, the guy who came in as the OC, that's his style. Huff likes that style. Willie had a question. What is better for an offense with a bunch of new players? Is it to go fast in game one, or would you actually rather be more methodical and grind it out?
Yeah, I think the thing is I think it's simpler to go fast. And usually what happens when teams go tempo is the play calling gets simplified. There's not a lot of pre-stop action. Usually when you're going like lightning fast, like ODU and like Oregon in the past, for instance, like you have a lot of calls that are from the same formation you started in, right? So you have success on first down, 5-6 yards, and you're in that same formation for the next 3 plays, just run off plays as quickly as possible. And with that, you get simplicity. And there's not a lot of confusing concepts or snap count variants or motions or shifts pre-snap. So it's simpler to install and to learn that fast tempo set of plays that every offense really has. But if you make it your staple, you have probably a little bit more of an expanded package. And if ODU did it, I would assume that, like Mullen said in the pressers, they prepared for some tempo and they're ready for that eventuality if they do decide to take on some of those principles. And I think based on the quarterback, like you said, Stokes, I think he's going to be the guy for them as well because he matches what ODU did as a quarterback. His skill set kind of fits that. I think they will try to do some of that tempo stuff. I personally think it's simpler that way to install the offense. It's just tough to get used to the pace. And if you practice it, you understand that. But if you just try to roll out tempo game day, you're going to be in for a world of hurt because the mental focus is going to deteriorate fast when those legs start to go. So we'll see if that is the case. I think it is simpler and easier to install a fast-paced style offense because of how it simplifies things up front.
Okay, so what does that mean for UNLV with the defense and what you've seen from training camp?
Well, I think the early down success, if that's the case, is the biggest thing that UNLV would look to do. I think they gave up a lot of early down success last year. I mean, even on the plays that they did when they got, third and favorable situations, they gave up a lot of back-breaking third down conversions. But I think early down success against a team that decides to go tempo, should Memphis do that, is the key to really blowing up tempo. Because you don't like to go fast and get quick 3 and outs, right? Like that's always the Achilles heel of these tempo style offenses is if you start off and get a negative play on first down, playing behind the chains, you try to go fast and now you're in 3rd and 12. You don't have a fast call for a 3rd and 12 play. So you naturally slow down and obviously your packages aren't designed for 3rd and 12. So 3 and outs are the Achilles heel. So UNLV, early down success, get off the field on opportunities. That will be the key defensively if Memphis tries to go tempo.
7 o'clock kickoff on Saturday, UNLV and Memphis going at it. 6 o'clock with the Ted Weens pregame show. Reminder, 5 to 7. Willie is going to be doing the pregame party over at Whiskey Stadium. So get on over there and grab some of the Mullen menu items. Those are freaking dynamite. And if you want to be crazy, try the Mullen Challenge, which has you eat a lot of food in 15 minutes. And if you do, you get a T-shirt. And that's it. I'm not going to guarantee anything else. I don't know what you might, you'll be good. You'll be good. Okay. So I did a podcast on Sunday with some Memphis dudes, and, they immediately pinpointed something that was the weakness of UNLV last year, and that was the chunk play. They gave up a lot of chunk plays. The back end got torched a bunch of times. You go on shows like that, and they say, hey, how is the defensive backfield better this time around? What do you say?
I say, one, they're deeper. I think, two, I think they're playing in position. I think there's a lot of things that they were asked to do in the scheme. And I don't want to call it makeshift, because Paul Gunther did come in the spring, so it wasn't like absolutely. But installing a defense takes a lot more than just a spring. But a lot of guys, because of that, weren't fit to the schemes he wanted to employ. There's kind of a little bit of pushback or ebb and flow with trying to get the guys to fit into a puzzle that they just weren't designed for. I think this year there's a little bit more stability in that regard, as far as guys playing in position and being able to play where they're comfortable playing, which is something that Mullen has talked about ad nauseum since he's come, like putting guys where they can thrive on the field. I think that's the case more in the secondary, especially with the depth that they've added, some guys back from injury in the early going, at least compared to last season. And then just year two in the system. A lot of the guys that are returning defensively are in the secondary. So that, I think, is a key for guys just being more knowledgeable of their fit and their role. And miscommunication was responsible for a lot of those chunk plays. I don't think the miscommunication will be as great this year. Hopefully it doesn't exist at all. And they've got the guys getting guys lined up on the field and not as many coverage busts as we saw last season.
Time for broadcaster bites on a couple of fronts. First of all, the folks at Allegiant Stadium, headed up by the folks at UNLV, always try to do a theme menu for the media. It's very important for the audience to know what we get to eat at the games. Could they roll out something that is of a Memphis theme at the Owl?
I would hope that they try. And that has been a thing in the past. I think UNLV does a good job of kind of respecting the teams that they host and giving them a taste, or at least respecting their culinary option and give it their home. And I know you're a fan of the Locomoco whenever Hawaii comes to town.
Oh, yeah.
They've replicated that pretty well. But Memphis cooking is often duplicated. I don't know what the saying is. I might have just messed that up. Often imitated, never duplicated. I think that's it. And so I think that's what Memphis food is. But if you're going to try, again, you better do it right, because we got high expectations. Having dined in the South, expect Memphis to be specific. We know what they're all about down there. So Allegiant's got their work cut out for them if they're going to try to imitate that.
I will tell you this. We had gotten word that this year's catering for Raiders meals would be improved. And I can tell you, just after one preseason game, it's 100% on point in terms of improvement. So the fact of the matter is the menus are different. The snacks, where they put in the middle, like for instance, they roll out the whole candy concession stand in the pod with the Raiders games. The UNLV's got their own thing, but it's the same chefs and cooks and whatnot. So wherever they're ordering and getting their foods in for, if they're saying, hey, we're going Memphis barbecue to cater, I mean, I'm expecting to see some barbecue brisket. We're not going to get ribs.
Don't be insane. And yeah, don't do ribs.
Yeah, you can't do
ribs.
Ribs
Are way too risky.
I just said you can't do ribs.
It's got to be pulled pork.
Yeah.
At the minimum, I think that's the safest. I think a brisket is risky.
A brisket
shredded up and it's the same. What's the difference between pulled pork? But it's presented the same.
I'm confused at the way that you just said that, Willie, because I think you're a foodie expert and you know better that brisket and pulled pork are not the same thing. I think there's a process to brisket that takes a little bit before you shred it. Obviously, the presentation, you get to the same place at the end, but the slow cooked brisket is not to be compared to any other meat option or barbecue style. Now, it is risky. I agree with Steve. It is risky. But if you pull it off, which I think the Allegiant staff is capable of pulling it off, you make a statement in week 0. And I think that statement is, I've heard the same rumor that the menu options at least have changed or been enhanced with what they are offering.
Yes.
But UNLV has personnel. I don't want to mention his name. He will remain anonymous just in case he makes some wrong decisions this year. But he makes the decisions and makes decisions accordingly. So I think he will make the right decision. I trust his food taste, but we'll see especially it's a tough test if you're going to try to imitate Memphis in week 0.
Now, for Broadcast Bites, we talk about the home food. We also talk about our recollections of food when we've gone on the road to these places. You and I and the broadcast team at the time were in Memphis for an Arkansas State game. We were lucky enough to stay in Memphis and not the hellhole that Arkansas State was in. So we got Memphis food. My recollection is barbecue, meal. We went to a place called Blue City Cafe. I do remember a sweet autographed picture of Ike Turner on the wall for some reason. Do you remember the food there?
I do remember the food there. I believe I got the catfish and baby back ribs combo, which I was absolutely impressed with because they told me that the catfish was caught this morning, and I've never had that told to me before at any establishment. And obviously, they know what they're doing in the kitchen with the ribs. They were, I don't want to say fall off the bone, because fall off the bone apparently in the barbecue community is actually frowned upon. But they were absolutely tender, juicy. I enjoyed every bite of that meal. The night before that, I actually had a place called Gus's Kitchen, and it is one of the premier spots in Memphis for hot chicken. And let me tell you something. That was the first time I called my mother and told her to step her game up because her fried chicken didn't compare. I'd never had fried chicken that good. I took a risk, but when I told her where I was, my mom's from the South. She's from Mississippi. She understood exactly where I was coming from. So there's that. And again, like I said, if you're going to try to imitate Memphis's cooking, you better bring your A game, because what we ate that weekend was absolutely phenomenal on all fronts.
All right, Caleb. So I obviously, as a broadcaster, you probably have better options, but as a player, right, your meals are prepared or whatnot, but you may have extra days. I'm looking at your game logs. Outside of Mountain West, let's see, you've been to Idaho, you went to West Virginia, you went to Wisconsin, you went to Pullman for Washington State your sophomore year. The next year, you had 3 road games. And then you finished up Minnesota and then the Heart of Dallas Bowl. I'm going to roll the dice and say that the best meals that you may have had was at the Heart of Dallas Bowl in the final game of your collegiate career.
And you'd be wrong.
Okay,
it
good.
was not.
Good.
I distinctly remember the Washington State trip.
Okay.
They had you get option steak or chicken, and I'm rarely a steak in mass guy. Like if they make a mass vat of steak or a bunch of steak, usually the steak quality isn't good. But I distinctly remember that they had a steak option that was absolutely phenomenal. And they actually introduced me to cheesecake. I was not a fan of cheesecake until college. And I remember on that trip, cheesecake was the only dessert option. And you have to get dessert for the hotel. You take a piece of dessert, eat it there, and then you take one back up to your room for a late night snack, right? That was the first time I had cheesecake and enjoyed it. And that changed my pregame meal for the rest of my career. Cheesesteak was always a part of my pregame, just to give me that last little calorie boost before game day,
nice.
To make sure I had the energy. So cheesesteak became a staple after Washington State. That sticks out to me in my memory.
Caleb, we're up against it. One other memory we won't have time to break down, but we both did perform in front of a decent-sized crowd doing karaoke. And back in 2018, you were better. Again, my poor song choices come to haunt me, and you sang John Legend, and you nailed it. So you're better.
It's all about selection, Steve. I'll trust you.
Hey, buddy.
This season, get in the game with the William Hill Pro Pick'em Football Contest. Pick the winning teams, no point spreads, and take home your share of $1,210,000 in cash prizes. For a $25 entry fee, you'll be picking for your share of $10,000 in weekly prizes. Finish with 215 wins and get the $1 million cash bonus. Register today and get your picks in before kickoff on Sunday, September 13th. For more details and to see a list of participating locations, visit williamhill.us. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
One moment can turn life upside down.
Your comeback starts with the right team by your side.
At DeCastro Verde Law, we've spent decades helping injured Nevadans take back their lives.
We never back down.
We never give up.
We're the DeCastro Verde Brothers, and we have your back.
Together we win.
BrothersWin.com.
At DeCastro Verde Law, the brothers have your back. BrothersWin.com.
Technology never stands still, and neither does in IT. For 70 years and counting, we've helped businesses adapt, grow, and stay secure through every change. With experienced people and smart technology solutions, we make work easier, more productive, and more secure. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Let less be here for you.
Every sports parent knows the drill. Early games, long tournaments, kids asking for food before the first whistle even blows. Port of Subs makes game day easy with fresh sandwich trays, boxed lunches, and giant party subs everyone will love. Spend less time worrying about lunch and more time cheering from the sidelines. Order ahead at portofsubs.com.
Slice fresh sandwiches, Port of Subs.
Michael E. Minden Diamond Jewelers, the wedding ring store, has the largest selection at the most affordable prices. Plus, get a free 2-carat lab-grown diamond gold ring mounting purchase. Head to Fashion Show Mall. Michael E. Minden Diamond Jewelers, the wedding ring store.
Jake from State Farm. I just beat my running PR, so I'm celebrating with the Banana Bonanza smoothie.
Hey, and you can keep celebrating when you create an affordable price just for you by bundling your home and auto with the State Farm Personal Price Plan. Go bananas.
I will. Hey, make it a large.
Bundling, just another way to save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
That's the ease at which you get information. You want it, you get it. Like that. Ask your phone. Group chat. Smartphone. You're always connected and informed in real time. No waiting. So if you're diabetic and still using finger sticks to read your blood sugar, what are you waiting for? Knowing your blood sugar levels instantly is important for managing diabetes. Call US Med at 888-665-0696. To learn more about continuous glucose monitors, a real-time instant method to track your blood glucose, US Med is an approved provider for Medicare and over 1,000 private insurers. And the best part? Call 888-665-0696 and we'll give you a free insurance benefits check today. So call 888-665-0696 today. That's 888-665-0696 and manage your diabetes as easy as...
You wouldn't put your life savings into a slot machine, so why keep it at a big bank where every month can feel like a gamble? At One Nevada Credit Union, we aren't playing games with your money. You get stability, local service, and better rates. Stop pulling the lever and hoping for the best. Switch to One Nevada Credit Union. Don't gamble with big banks.
Our focus is you.
Federally insured by NCUA.
Patty Davidson here from BetMoneyHoney.com. Would you like to become an educated sports fan that also knows how to place a bet? How about a library of how games are played, how to make bets, and hot picks of the day? Join me at BetMoneyHoney.com.
I was in a wreck. I need a check.
I was in a wreck. I need a check.
I was in a wreck. I need a check.
After an accident, you don't want another headache dealing with the insurance companies. Let us get you all the money you deserve. Call 877-1500. That's 877-1500.
Learn and roll is the way to go. Call 877-1500. 877-1500.
Randy Westbrook, managing attorney.
Cofield and Company presents Grab Bag on ESPN Las Vegas.
Stick your hand in there, dude.
So crazy times, and I know people are panicking about college football and college basketball with these 5-and-5 seniors who were going to court and challenging, and now we've got a crazy case of a guy who was working to make the Cleveland Browns, Quan Wright, who's going to go to LSU. If he can get cleared, you know Lane Kiffin's all about trolling. It's so funny. Lane Kiffin made some statement about whatever it was 3 weeks ago at SEC Media Day, and he's like, the social media stuff, I'm really going to back off it. You know, it's distracting. Like, you're not. No. He lives for this. Yeah. And by the way, LSU as a sports department is all about saying F the rules, or we're going to push the rules and test the NCAA, because the basketball program like completely went, I don't want to use the word rogue, but they took every advantage of every international guy they could get. They just added Donovan Dent. Remember that name? Point guard from New Mexico, who was all Mountain West a couple of years, went to UCLA. He was done. Court case comes up. He thinks he can play, so he's committed to LSU. And then the right kid as the tight end from the Browns is going to land at LSU. So if you're smart, if you're a coach, you got to play with the times, and you got to keep roster spots open. Because I heard someone else today ranting about, on the football front, if you take a guy like this kid Wright, aren't you going to have to send someone else off the team? It's not always the way it works with a lot of college football programs. They have a couple extra spots. Some. It's weird. I understand. And that this one is really an affront to, I guess, what people think the rules are. But unfortunately, right now, there are no rules. So adding a tight end from the NFL is a little weird.
That part is just, to me, it's like once you've declared and you become, you're done. You can't go backwards. I don't think that's fair.
You would think once you take some kind of compensation from a professional organization, that would be the line. But apparently it's not, especially if you get a local judge. Hopefully this will be the last year of this. And more importantly, as Justin Watkins told us last week, can the NCAA just act like adults and negotiate with the players and make them employees, come up with a collective bargaining agreement, instead of, as he put it, always running to mom and dad, which now would be Congress. No one else is here to save you, NCAA. Just treat the players with respect, collectively bargain, and this can be worked out. And guess what? If you have a CBA and you collectively bargain, the courts will never interfere. They just won't. They don't do that.
Regular season football's around the corner, but this Sunday, it's the Reds taking on the Cubs at 4 on ESPN.